So, this chapter basically is telling us that this arc is coming to an end and that there's going to be another major loss. But the real question is it going to be a major loss on the villain side or a major loss on the heroes? Let's watch and find out. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another My Hero Academia manga review. This time reviewing manga chapter 294, Last Stage. And when it comes to this chapter of My Hero Academia, yeah, I think this chapter, like the other chapters, are showing us that this arc is coming to an end, but I think this one is a little bit more blatant about it. Not with the title of just Last Stage, but for what happens in this chapter. It's basically telling us, yeah, like it's gonna be ending, like within maybe like at the very least the next 5 chapters, with one of these sides getting a major win and the other side getting a major loss. And before we get right into it, I'd like to ask all of you watching this video, if you haven't done so, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Big Blue Drew 97, as well as leave a like and a comment down below on this video on what you think is going to happen in this chapter, where we see all these heroes that have passed, crushed, as well as a lot of heroes that have taken massive losses and have been injured during this war. We got Aizawa, Mirko, we even have Ryuku, as well as Gran Torino, Hawks, who have taken massive damage, as well as other heroes that helped play major roles in its arc, like Rocklock, Manual, Present Like, as well as we get to see other characters that are unidentified, but most likely, like, we see Lady, we most likely see Midnight. And the reason why we're seeing all of this is because Best Genius is giving like this sort of like speech about how every single person is like sort of like a single thread, or like a single like twine that's extremely thin, but when they come together they make a strong rope, and how the reason why they're in this position is because all of them played a crucial role, and if one of these strands was like flimsy, then all of this was impossible, and how he had faith in all of them. So basically saying, like, without everyone doing whatever they did, we wouldn't have gotten this far. And now that he's like subdued Gigantomachia and Gigantomachia is down, now he's about to focus his attention on the other league of villains. While this is all happening, we get to see Muriel as well, fighting off one of these near high-end Nomus, where he's fighting them, he's unable to put them down, and this is where he makes a comparison with these Nomu about how the Nomu that he's fighting, specifically Muriel, the Nomus that he's fighting, it's very simple, but it's really straightforward, and it's no joke, as he comes to the realization that all of these Nomu are on the same scale as the one in Kyushu. So just showing like how powerful one of these single Nomu was, it took literally the like help of the number 1 and number 2 hero to take down one Nomu, and now these kids are going up against Nomu that are just as strong, if not stronger than that, and they're unable to take it out. And also something interesting is that we also have basically Ida coming in, calling out Bakugo's hero name and telling him, it's like, hey, you shouldn't be fighting Great Explosion, Murder, God, Dynamite, or how Ida would say it, Great Explosion, Murder, God, Dynamite, what are you doing? You shouldn't be here. Like, you're injured, you can barely fight, you've fallen and you can't get up. Leave, we gotta get out of here. And Bakugo's like, can't really say anything. That's the thing. Bakugo is so injured, or he's like really just only able to fight, that he's unable to speak. But he's like, yeah, you're not wrong, but like as long as like we have a duty to protect Best Genius, that's what I'm going to do, so that he can take down the league. So even though Bakugo can't even speak, he's still fighting to protect Best Genius, which, you know, is always a great trait to have in a hero, wanting to protect people. Even if it means sacrificing parts of your body and potentially dying. That's what a hero does. And from here, we cut over to Compress, which, for the most part, Compress Compress makes up a large portion of this chapter because we have basically Compress having a monologue talking about how he can't escape these restraints, that the only thing that he can grab is his butt. That's more of a translation. It's more of like the only, instead of like specifically his butt, most likely what is happening is that Compress is monologuing about how he's stuck, he can't really escape, he cannot release his arm, he can only touch a part of his body, he can't touch the ropes, Shigaraki is down, and he's having trouble trying to get out of these restraints. And he thinks about like how, why he's doing this, why he's here, and he thinks about his other comrades. He thinks about Dabi, he thinks about Toga, and he thinks about Spinner, and how what Spinner says, that Shigaraki hasn't been able to destroy anything, and that they're completely trapped, and like they haven't achieved their dreams. It's like Shigaraki gathered all of the us. He wants us to achieve our dreams, but yet we haven't done that. Shigaraki hasn't been able to destroy anything, and I can't do anything about it. So you have his Compress having this monologue, and he tells Spinner that he loves the League of Villains and that the boss is the key, and that he tells Spinner that in the count of 5, wake the boss, as we can have him continuing his monologue about how he basically is going to try his best to get all of these people out while trying to escape. So Compress's plan right now, his only goal right now, is to escape. And he says that his dream, his calling, his reason is here, as we see that he needs to escape from these bindings, and he does the unthinkable. He uses his quirk on himself so that he has enough room to free himself, as once he does that, he's able to get rid of the ropes that are binding him and are able to capture Shigaraki and Spinner, as now he's planning his escape. He's going up the back of Gigantomachia as he's thinking about how it's his turn to be like amazing. It's his greatest escape as he's scaling Gigantomachia, and I'm pretty sure he's also releasing like the cables on Gigantomachia as well using his quirk. And while he's doing this, Best Jeanist sees that he is moving extremely fast. However, he also notices that the injury may be fatal. And you know what? Even with that idea in mind, even as Best Jeanist is trying to restrain him, Compress, Mr. Compress, breaks free of the bindings, even removing his clothes, as he says that as long as he has a hand free, he can escape, as he destroys the wires tethering Gigantomachia. And he's thinking about how this escape is like his only true strength, that his only true strength is escape and deception, but he is going to use those things to save his team, as we get a major reveal of Compress's backstory. Like I said, this part of the chapter from here on out is all about Compress, where we get the reveal that Compress is related to Oji Harima. And if that name doesn't ring a bell, at first it didn't ring a bell to me until like even Compress started monologuing more and more, and then we see a picture of OG, and what is actually cool is that if I remember correctly, someone said this in the comments of the last video, in chapter 177, we see that he was like one of these individuals stated by, if I remember correctly, Gentle, to be one of these infamous criminals on the same level as Destro and All For One. And apparently he was the equivalent of being a Robin Hood in this world, as Mr. Compress basically says that he didn't like the current system, and he basically stole from the rich and gave to the poor. He stole from the greedy heroes and redistributed it to everyone else, and how he views him as like this shining light of justice against like the blood that flows through all of us, or the corruption that flows through all of us, through hero society, and that he's the shining beacon, as Mr. Compress once again is able, actually, you know what, once again able to monologue. But weirdly enough, we cut back over to the fight between Shoto and Dabi, where Shoto is trying to use his flash fire fist, and he just gets wrecked by Dabi with Dabi's jet burn, or Endeavor's jet burn, where Dabi basically was like, I can't kill you now because Endeavor's passed out. Alright, goodbye. And it's like, oh, hey, Mr. Compress. Like, that's basically what Dabi is. It's like, he's out, Endeavor's out. Can't really kill you now, because if I kill you now, then he's not going to see it, and I just really want him to see me kill you. So, you know, you get to live another day as he burns Shoto as Shoto begins to fall to the ground, where we continue with Mr. Compress's monologue. And once again, this is more of Mr. Compress's monologue, or how this basically kind of confirms that this is kind of his swan song about how he's leaving his dreams in the hand of the boss, and how the boss is going to change the world, and referring to Shigaraki as he announces that he is the elusive Haruyama's great-great-grandson. He's the man with the blood of the King of Thieves. Hey, is that an Aladdin reference? The King of Thieves? And how he basically talks about he was a background character, but that was a lie! And how did I make this secret? Well, you know, I can't reveal it because magicians never reveal their tricks, as we get the reveal of what his face truly looks like, as he says that he's the escape artist, Mr. Compress, and how this is his once-in-a-lifetime show, as the chapter ends, alluding to the fact that Mr. Compress may die in this arc, and how he's going to risk his life to have everyone escape from this situation. Also, Miriam's here, so you know, that's cool. Miriam's gonna see Mr. Compress die. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this chapter, mainly because of the swerve that it took. From what we saw with the spoilers, we knew we were going to get the reveal of who Mr. Compress was, but we didn't get the context for it. And when it comes to this chapter, the context is that he reveals his face because this is a swan song. There's a very high possibility that Mr. Compress is going to die. And here, we're getting like a lot more character development, or specifically, we get more characterization of Mr. Compress. We get an illusion of what his goal is, which may be similar to that of his great-great-grandfather, as well as we get to see like how much he actually cared for the League of Villains. And even though we didn't get a whole lot from him, he still had like a whole lot of character, and that character shows in this chapter. And it also shows his drive to protect his team by him sacrificing himself, by using his own quirk on him to take a chunk of his flesh out. And that is just amazing, like the dedication that he has. That's the type of dedication that you would see from someone like Deku, a hero, showing that even though Mr. Compress is perceived as a villain, he still has heroic traits, which is so amazing for the series when it comes to its villains, how the villains are only really villains in name, but like their goals are only seen as villains just because they contrast with what society deems as good, which ties into getting more backstory from his great-great-grandfather, Oji Harima, which is, he's basically Robin Hood, and the reason why he's deemed a villain is because he stole from the rich heroes and just gave it to the poor, and meaning that even though he's seen as a villain by some people, he's probably seen as a hero by others. So that's a very interesting dynamic to have within this character, who's only been shrouded in secrecy and deceit, and that he has like this actual goodness inside of him, and it just so happens that he's aligning himself with people that actually cared about him, showing that really all of this is happening is because society decided that this is what's right, this is what's wrong. Society viewed heroes and villains too much in black and white, and people like Compress, like Spinner, like Toga, like Dabi, like Shigaraki appeared in that gray area that society never allowed to exist in the first place. So I find this chapter very interesting because of the importance that Compress is having, as well as the speech from Best Genius about how everyone playing a role is important, and a single misstep would have meant that they would not have been able to get to the point that they are. So that is also was amazing, as well as like just even more development for Bakugo and his character, how he wants to save Best Genius, as well as just like that small moment of like conflict between Dabi and Toya, and showing how, well, not Dabi and Toya, Dabi and Todoroki Shoto, and also showing like the gap between their power, how with one with one jet burn, Dabi Toya was able to instantly take out Todoroki, showing that he was playing the entire time. So this shows that these characters need to grow stronger and faster and like more agile. They need to grow to be even able to match these villains, because frankly, these villains, we thought that they were pushovers, but no, they're stronger than we could have ever imagined. And these heroes, these students, these kids need to catch up. So, all in all, like I said, really enjoyed this chapter, really enjoyed everything with Compress, with Dabi, Toya, Shigaraki, all of it. Best Genius, loved it all. My Hero Academia is hitting once again. It hasn't missed for really the past like 4 months. I love reviewing it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully if you enjoyed it enough, you'll leave a like, leave a comment down below what you think is going to happen next chapter. I think it's very obvious that Mr. Compress is going to do something that's going to sacrifice his life, or basically put the villains in a chance or a way to escape either on Gigantomachia, because we don't know like the level of like what he can compress with his quirk. He may be able to compress Gigantomachia completely, or he may get Shigaraki to wake up and give Gigantomachia an order to flee, and as he flees, as all of the Nomu flee, most likely it will begin ending this arc with the villains fleeing, but them winning because they were able to escape and the heroes losing. And I think that's where we're going to start next chapter. But what do you think? Leave your thoughts down below. Like I said, leave comments, leave likes, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not, and do all of that cool jazz, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye! Rest in peace, Mr. Compress. You will be missed. Bye.